This is Yamuna, one of India's most sacred rivers. But look at it. The foam you're seeing isn't soap. It isn't waste. It's a chemical reaction caused by a kind of pollution that most Indians have never been warned about. It's in your air. It's in your food. And according to Gita Gopinath, former chief economist, IMF, it is costing India more than anything else.
Which we usually don't talk about when you're talking about business development, is I want to talk about pollution. Pollution is a challenge in India, and if you look at the impact of pollution on the Indian economy, it is far more consequential than any impact of any tariffs that have been put on India so far. If you look at the annual cost to India's GDP of the level of pollution that you have, and it's not just the effect on economic activity, but it's also the loss in lives. I mean, the numbers are really large. Based on a World Bank study that was done, I think it was published in 22, about 1.7 million lives are lost every year in India because of pollution. That's 18% of the deaths in India.
She's right. Pollution comes from many sources. For example, according to this research paper, India's government spends over 2 lakh crores rupees every year just subsidizing fertilizers. Fertilizers that crops absorb less than 30% of. The rest? It escapes into our rivers, our groundwater, and our air. Another 2025 study in Environmental Research Letters calculated India's share of global nitrogen pollution costs at 3% of its GDP, the highest ratio in the world alongside China. That's not just an environmental number. That's money India is losing. So what is it? Nitrogen makes up 78% of the air we breathe. Inert, harmless, but reactive nitrogen, the kind released by fertilizers, vehicles, and burning crop residue, is a different story entirely. Nitrous oxide, one form of reactive nitrogen, has a global warming potential 265 times higher than CO2. In Indian agriculture, it's already become the second most important greenhouse gas, growing faster than methane. Ammonia from fertilizers and livestock mixes with vehicle exhaust to form the PM 2.5 particles choking Indian cities. India has the largest number of the world's most polluted cities by PM 2.5, causing over 1 million deaths per year, up to 7% of all deaths in India. And when reactive nitrogen washes off farms into our rivers and lakes, as it does from Delhi Sahibi River into the Yamuna, it triggers algal blooms that destroy oxygen, kill fish, and collapse entire water ecosystems. Scientists call these dead zones. There are over 400 of them globally right now. So why do we care? Think this is only a farmer's problem or a government problem. Look again. Every kilogram of nitrogen fertilizer applied to grow your wheat, your rice, your vegetables, less than 30% actually reaches the plant. The rest pollutes, and you eat, breathe, and drink the consequences. Nitrates leaching into drinking water are linked to increased cancer risk. Ammonia in the air you breathe is linked to respiratory disease and premature death. The nitrogen cascade from farm to forked atmosphere touches every part of your life. Scientists who study planetary limits, the boundaries our Earth can safely handle, say reactive nitrogen crossed those limits long ago. Unlike climate change, which is still within planetary boundaries, nitrogen is already in the danger zone, and almost no one is talking about it. But here's what gives us hope. Indian scientists recognized this challenge over 20 years ago and formed the Indian Nitrogen Group, around the same time when the International Nitrogen Initiative was taking roots for the same reasons in Virginia, USA. By 2017, Indian scientists produced the first ever comprehensive national nitrogen assessment. By 2019, Indian government led the first ever UN resolution adopted on sustainable nitrogen management. IT was facilitated by Professor N. Raghuram, who became the chair of the International Nitrogen Initiative by then. Speaking at the launch of the Global Nitrogen Campaign in Colombo by the Sri Lankan government later that year, he said,
"On behalf of the International Nitrogen Initiative, I congratulate the Sri Lankan government for bringing attention to the issue of reactive nitrogen and the intergovernmental process on sustainable nitrogen management at the highest level of national level state, and also to bring pride to the South Asian region as the global champion of the new phase of intergovernmental negotiations on nitrogen. From the carbon world to the nitrogen world, we are actually seeing a lot of transition. But to be more specific to the question that you had asked, which was striking, about the international process that brought us this far, the intergovernmental process started with the nitrogen resolution that India and Sri Lanka had tabled, and we were there to defend it and argue it. But prior to that, for more than 15 years, the International Nitrogen Initiative, with the scientific community of hundreds of scientists across the entire world, with regional offices in 6 parts of the world, including South Asia, have been trying to generate scientific evidence and place it before the national governments and intergovernmental agencies to take notice, to take cognizance of it and do something about it. It's important to recognize for the general public that when scientific problems reach the governments, they've already matured to a level where 10, 15, 20 years of scientific evidence is placed before the table. And from the national governments, they reach the United Nations, which is another few years. And from there to a campaign is another few months. And still it is one of the fastest campaigns that we have got. It's really now the issue of the people. The scientists have done their bit, the UN has done its bit, and at least one national government has taken it to the global stage. Now it's really the issue of the people and the civil society, including the media, to make it a success.
India's cattle alone produce enough dung and urine daily to replace all our daily fertilizer consumption. If we built the systems to collect and recycle it, that's a lakh crore in fertilizer subsidies we could save, while cutting pollution. Green ammonia could replace fossil fuel-based fertilizers and serve as clean fuel for ships. Private companies in India have already committed billions. The first facility in the world producing green ammonia at scale was commissioned right here in Bikaner, Rajasthan in 2021. Precision farming, better crop varieties, smarter nutrient management. Research shows we can cut fertilizer use by up to 40% without losing yield. The science exists, the technology exists, the policy framework exists. The scientists have done the work, the economists have done the math, the policymakers have passed the resolutions. What is missing is the one thing that always precedes change: public awareness. So, ask your representatives what the United Nations resolutions on sustainable nitrogen management mean for your city or country, and how they can contribute to the United Nations Working Group on Nitrogen co-founded by India and Romania. Support farmers and farming systems that recycle wasted nutrients to reduce fertilizer usage. Talk wherever it matters. The invisible crisis only stays invisible